corporate fraud. Okay? And a lot of this has what? A negative effect on the economy as well as on you, a victim. Alright? Somebody wipes out your account, your debit. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine that? Just wipe it out. For real. So and then you had the online corporate fraud, the espionage with China Google fraud of it was like 2007. It was called the Great Firewall of China. That's in that chapter, right? Google victims of a cyber attack in 2009 by China. The code, they traced the source code back to China. Google was trying to open up markets in China with trust, right? But then their systems were hacked. And they call that an Aurora or the high drag Trojan. The Aurora or the high drag Trojan.
Aurora Trojan?
Yeah, Aurora. Or they weren't too sure, high drag. HYDRAQ, Trojan. And we know what a Trojan is. And it gives hackers a possibility to run commands from your computer.
Oh, like remote,
The Trojan horse. That's scary.
what was the other Trojan?
High drag.
It's like
HYDRAQ.
remote assistance on the actual computer.
Exactly. They do that now.
Yeah, without actually giving you.
So it also gives the ability for a intruder or a hacker using this method, the high drag, and what's the other one? Aurora Trojan, to download files and other information that you have stored in your system. Aurora is A-U-R-O-R-A. Yeah, that's a constellation of Aurora. I don't know why they called it that. But guess who came to the rescue for Google? Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton called for an investigation when several other corporations were also hacked. And it happened in March 22nd, 2010. So eventually Google left China by relocating to Hong Kong and exited the Great Firewall of China. See that? So you also have political cyber conflict and economic fiber. What do you call it, fiber or cyber?
Would you
Cyber
like
fraud.
to see on the quiz?
Well, what it is one, you'll be writing like a briefing, like a paragraph.
Okay.
On what is your notion about the security, surveillance, and safety.
Okay.
So you could pick one, because all of them are interesting, but you might want to just pick one. Like here they got cyber complexion, terrorists and security. And they have the other one that you can look into as far as online porn.
Okay.
You know, so you should have a chance to write about one of them.
Very good.
Yeah,
That's excellent.
We could put some like multiple choice.
Multiple choice?
Yeah, some
Fill in?
definitions of the acronyms.
Okay. Anything here? Ms. Colon, anything that you'd like to see?
I'm trying to figure out what else, besides what you went through. I know you said the phishing and the spoofing
Right.
and the Great Firewall. Was there anything else that you mentioned that?
Oh, you mean just previously?
Yeah.
Just now?
What is the 419 scam?
But 19 scam was, the scam it originated from Nigeria, Africa. And what it was a lottery scam. So you would get a phone call to say like, you won $1,000, but you had to withdraw money out the bank, like $200 to send them. So they realized it was a scam. You was not gonna win
Do
$1,000.
that now.
Yeah, it's still existent.
I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all fell for that when they called me over there telling me I was 1,500.
Yeah.
I had 6 $20, so I was getting ready to go sit in the movie set. If it's free, they gonna give it to you. You're not supposed to give them nothing. Girl, go back home. I said, Ma, I need $20 because I don't have a debit
See?
credit card.
Yeah.
And they told me I couldn't use a debit, I couldn't go to
There you
the
go.
a debit card, a regular card or something like that. Mom was like, girl, you don't go home anyway. And then when that baby on the phone, he told me,
Okay, so we have 4 of them, right? McLuhan,
What's your email?
Steigler, Kittler, and Castells. What would be the best way to do this? Cross, like, you know how you have, you know how you have like McLuhan here and then the medium is a message?
A, B, C, or D.
Right. So you match it up. So these are like match questions.
That'd be better.
Yeah, so under McLuhan, the media or the message.
The media are the
And, right, and that was his position
The
on
medium,
technology.
the medium,
The medium or the message.
or R?
R. It looks like the word medium is poor, which is strange.
Medium is the message,
Yes, on technology.
R the message, not A.
or the media?
Medium.
The book has a medium, but media is all right too. The media is the message, or the medium are the message.
Yeah.
It's just a technicality in usage of.
And who said that?
Marshall McLuhan.
MCL.
That was his position. So each of them are going to have a position on technology. All right?
Thank you.
Technology. Can anybody define what technology is? It's not easy, is it?
No, because
What is the derivative of the word technology? My goodness, what is it? We know biology,
biology
right?
is the
What is
study
the
of.
study of, right? It comes from logos, right? You can study psychology, criminology, philosophy.
Biology.
Not philosophy. Philosophy is more social studies.
Technology.
So the study of
Engineering to kind of
Something clear.
a tech, like, you know, like, I can't really,
It's not easy.
yeah, definitely.
Can't say electronics.
Definitely, because it doesn't
That's
have.
part of
because
it.
the technology could be broad.
It's a meaning.
Say that again?
Technology is broad, is a broad topic, like,
It's not, it is broad, but
so you
somebody-
can you like really,
But we can break it down.
how much if you break it down to one?
You're coming up with something, you're making something, so it's almost like, you know, it's taking something and creating and going further, I guess, like, I can't
Well,
really-
it probably came from the word,
Building up.
it probably came from the word scientific, scientific.
It's like a
Technique, science, scientific, science, right? Science,
technique,
the
tech.
science.
technique.
Tech- how about the
There it is. It came from the word technique, probably, technique.
Yeah.
Tech. Which one, what kind of tech?
Technology.
Oh, no, I know the word.
Yes, Steve, that's
You
what
talking about weapons, you talking about something.
he
So, yeah, I don't believe his position on humanity was media is an extension of you. Is it really an extension of you? Is this an extension of you, Miss Cologne? This phone? Hello? Okay.
She said yeah.
Can you do without it?
No.
Okay. Is it good to shut down every once in a while?
Yes.
Maybe the day you shut down, be something important happen. You needed it.
Do you shut down your body or you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and have a gin and tonic?
Where the party at, right?
Come on. Huh? Campbell, come on. 3 o'clock in the morning you're going to drink gin and tonic because you can't sleep.
I mean, that would be a good one.
That's serious.
Gin and tonic, because you can't go to sleep.
And his position in society and politics we should engage with hardware, the algorithms that underlie the user-friendly interfaces. Do we all know what algorithms are?
No.
In computer terms?
No.
Programmers have to know algorithm. Now,
That's 0 and 1s, right?
no.
About
No,
metric.
that's binary, but it gets converted to that. You're not totally wrong. Now, when Chappelle, when I opened up the chess game last week and we covered the chapter on gaming, Chappelle beat the machine, right?
Yeah.
So we spoke about algorithms, right? So
What is that?
algorithm is a strategy that one uses to solve a particular problem. A strategy that one uses to solve a particular problem. Computer science have to know algorithms. Algorithms, all right? Steps one uses to solve a particular problem, all right? Through our strategy, once you have the algorithm, then you can code the algorithm into the computer language that you're using towards a solution, right? So they usually use like boxes and diamond shapes. Boxes, top-down structure design algorithms to solve the problem. So if somebody says, well, your problem is a square box. Add X and Y, right? Add X and Y. So you say, well, data entry, I'm working with a user and I'm designing the program. So they say input, all right? So you just wait, all right? So it says X. Okay, user, input the first number. You input a 2. User, input the second number. You input the 4. Right? And this is in real time. You're the user interface with this particular algorithm to solve a particular problem of adding 2 numbers. And X or Y could be any number that you input. You get it? So, hold on. So what happens if you make a mistake and don't enter a number, but you enter a letter? What happens? Speak up.
What happened?
If you're interacting with the computer through a computer program and the computer is querying you, enter the first number and you don't enter the first number, you enter an A. You made a typo.
It's gonna tell you.
Exactly. You make a decision.
Yeah.
So it's a diamond box. If X is a number, proceed to add X or just have X as part of the number that you entered. If it's not a number but anything else, try again.
Yeah.
You got that?
Yeah.
Loop back to where you left off and made the mistake. These are how computers work. And then it says input the second number. Put a 4. If it's not a 4, it is a letter, what happens? A diamond. Right. So it has to check to make sure. This is how computers work. So once it's gotten 2 integer numbers correctly entered by you, the user, then it proceeds to do the computation. It assigns X equal 2, Y equal 4. The next one, X plus Y is equal to what? 2 plus 4. That's it. That's how it works. All right, and then you have another command that says print. Print 6. Show it to me. All right, yes.
The last week we was talking about is the computer becoming more humanized, like it's taking on human position.
Right.
So I watched a commercial, and it was a hug commercial. Hug commercial was for Pampers. But the demonstration they gave was how they was hugging babies, how they was embracing babies. And I realized at that time, no, the computer cannot do that. The computer will not know when to give you a hug. A human being will know when to give a child a hug. A child 4, you know to get them a hug and stuff. The computer could tell you when to eat. It can insert medication, you know, automatically. Like if you need, like with pain medication, it can know a time to give it to you because it can tell by the way you grunt or move. But a computer cannot tell when it's time to give someone a hug.
Okay, so she's taking it to a different level, right? Now, most of us were kids, right? I hope so. You know, unless you're one of them African goddesses that came out of nowhere. But anyway, but Isis, right? Okay, or Nefertiti. But let me ask. Look, we were children. Did we play with toys? Was that a toy? So what's wrong with playing with toys?
It's education.
That was a loving toy. Would you want to have a toy like that when you was a kid?
Yeah.
I mean, I was a sharpshooter when I was 6 years old. Does the computer have intelligence? You could go on and on with that one. Oh, what is the definition of intelligence? Thinking logically, systematically, without feelings?
Yeah.
It's not easy. Or do human beings have are we sentient beings with feelings and passion and emotions? Can you program emotion into a machine? Somebody says yes in the back. Uh-oh.
That's a trick question.
Can we program the machine to have emotions?
You can.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
Program the machine to do anything you want.
Wait a minute. Is it really emotion, or does anybody know what emotion really is? Are there some human beings that have no emotion?
What you're saying is feelings. Feelings is different from emotions.
Uh-oh. Well, so emotion comes from emotive, to bring out of you, right?
Yeah.
With some
So
kind
you can bring out and put in, and a computer is input.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a whole nother discussion, man. I mean, no, this is like graduate level stuff. So he also believes that with the internet and modern day technology that we're closing the gap between space and time. So can you email someone right now in Ghana and they get the information almost instantaneously?
Yeah.
It's amazing that we even got to this. I'm dead serious. Especially when you move in text and images. So which moves faster, video
Audio or text?
Text.
Right. Why? Because which holds more binary?
Text.
No, more.
Oh, video.
Exactly. And then audio is next, and then text. Right? So, we got that out the way.
Yeah, we done.
We're done. We're taking a break in 2 minutes. Now we're going right into some binary codes that I taught you, right? How many bits make a byte?
It's like 16. No.
8 bits make 1 byte.
See, I was-
B-Y-T-E. 8 bits make 1 byte. Right. 8 bits equal 1 byte.
That's gonna be the test.
Yeah. You got 1 byte, you got a kilobyte. How many bytes in a kilobyte?
16.
1,000.
A what?
1,000 bytes in a kilobytes. It's just it's a short way to write it. Scientific notation.
1,000 bytes.
You say 8 bits?
Hold on. 8 bits equal 1 byte. 1,000 bytes equal 1 kilobyte. And what's a megabyte?
Million.
6 zeros. A million. How much is
6 million millibytes equal 1 byte.
Say it again?
6 million.
I never said 6 million.
It's 1 million. It says 6 zeros.
1 million.
Oh, you say 6 zeros? Got it. You're right. 10 to the 6, scientific notation. So how much is a gigabyte?
8 of them things.
How much is a megabyte? How much is a mega?
Million. A million.
How much is a giga?
8 of them things.
9.
9 of them things?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta write that down.
It's okay. How-
Is that the
He said 1
1
million bytes.
Gigabyte. 10 to the 9.
So
Bytes.
that's a billion bytes is 1 gigabyte?
A billion bytes? It's like a billion bytes.
Now, it's incredible how this is going.
A billion or a million?
A billion. A mega is a million. You gotta get this straight.
A billibyte is a
Yeah. Remember winning the lotto, right? A megabyte. $1 million. A mega.
Billion bytes.
How much is what? So where are we now? What's the largest right now? Tera, which is 10 to what? 0. 10 to the 12.
Well, 4 terabytes is probably the highest.
Huh?
4 terabytes is probably the highest.
Well, I'm not looking at the 4. I'm just looking at
Look at the name of
the zeros. I'm looking at
it's trillion, right? Tera trillion?
That's a good question.
10.
We already passed billion with Bella.
Probably right.
So Tera should be trillion.
10 to the 12. 10 to the 12 zeros.
Yeah,
Is that a
trillion.
trillion? My God.
They're trying to
Wow.
go higher though.
Of course.
I have to make some numbers.
So-
I don't know what the hell go after trillion. Zillion?
So-
Is that real?
So listen, okay. Time out. One more question. When we come back from break, we're gonna do chapter 8, right? Mobile devices. Now, the next essay question might be, do you think that we're gonna run out of storage capacity eventually?
I think that it has to.
And you have to let me know, what are some of the causes that you think might cause an overflow in storage? Everything just crashes down, besides power outages and all of this. And somebody erasing maybe all the information on the server, and that has no backup. What I'm trying to say is that, why do you think we're gonna have information? Are we at the verge of information overflow
No.
with so many people with high density drives of 1 terabyte plus capacity, all these servers holding all of this exorbitant amount of information? Do we honestly think that we're going to get into it, or information overflow? Everything just crashes. Give me your view on that. Essay. Simple.
That's on the quiz?
Yes. Essay type.
What you say? What?
Information overflow. Do you think we're going to reach a maximum capacity of information, where it's going to cause an information overflow? And what are some of the reasons why you think it is?
Too many.
People are not purging files. The emails keeps expanding. People got emails going back to 2007.
Yeah.
Well,
Hillary Clinton ain't got no-
It's just incredible. No, you can delete a whole lot of spam or trash, whatever. I'm not looking at it that way. Yeah, it's not. It's just part of the quiz. Just write Right from your experience, why you think it's some creative flow. Simple as that. And I'm giving you some ideas right now. Right? Because if you don't purge, a lot of people do not purge their files.
What's called purge?
Purge. Purge means, anybody, besides taking S-lax.
Oh, to clean out, to basically clean up.
No, that's not.
That's what they got. Oh, come on. Come on, we take X-lax now, or milk magnesium, you know what you're doing.
You can clean yourself up.
Right. Eliminating garbage. Right or wrong? Computers are the same. Garbage in, get rid of garbage.
Oh, so, I have emails from like 2000. Look, I'll look at them.
So
Or
let's get back to the
leave
business of education, right? So
I'm gonna interrupt you, but what was the handout that you were just giving us?
that was from last time. You already have the book. It was in the book. So now, I did want to go to broadcast to journalism, written journalism, but it entails a lot. You know, a brief summary will be that print media has gone to electronics. So many people that are into newspaper industry and magazines, like they're getting laid off like crazy, right? So they have to find another line of work. And circulation decreases too, because the demand is not there at the newsstands as much. But people still like to tactile touch books. Anytime you go down to Union Square and you go to Strands,
Oh, yeah.
Strands is always crowded.
People blog now.
Anybody notice that? Strands
Yeah.
is still crowded. There's still people that like books. Something you can feel, touch. As opposed to this cyberspace electronic stuff, all right? So, you can turn the page.
And the bloggers are taking over from the writers as well.
What do you have? A little subclass?
No, we were talking about books.
We're talking about books.
Yes, sure.
And Candace asked if I
No, I
like
can't see
Nicholas
like-
Farm.
Well, Mr. Joyner has the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't hear.
Mr.
I
Joyner,
apologize.
continue.
I just said that
Y'all can resume later.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
the bloggers are taking the places of the journalists now.
You're right. Right. All right, but the thing to ask is that, like, how could you make a career out of making money? What do you do? Is it advertisements that generate money? Advertisement? Is it going to get to a point where people are not going to trust, put their debit and credit cards online, even if it's PayPal? Think about it.
Some people, not everybody.
People don't trust it now. The older generation doesn't. My mom never put her credit card on.
Yeah, my aunt, she don't even get direct deposit. She said, I want to feel my money. I don't want nothing to happen to it.
And it's always good to carry cash in your pocket if you have a source of income.
More technology advances, you're gonna always have some people that's gonna not,
Yeah.
advance with it or shy away from it or be opposed to it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think this class is deep. This is a deep class in terms of computers, mass media, print journalism, television, radio. Covers the whole gamut. That's why I opened up the first lecture with the definition of new. What does it mean for technology? What does it mean to be new? See, that's key right there. What is new? Is new relative?
Something new is something that never existed before, previously.
You know, that is ideal. That's the ideal definition. New is something fresh that never existed before. But then again, they say history repeats itself. Go ahead.
But just because it's
Speak up.
new, it's new, say it's new and I didn't partake in it. And 5 years later, I partake in it, it's still new to me, right?
Right.
So that's what you mean what is new?
So new is a relative term, isn't it? Will what's new today become old tomorrow?
Yeah.
Out of date, phased out. So can you say that something that's new is relative and temporary until something newer comes along?
Yeah, they call it a fad.
That's another good word too.
Yeah.
Fad. You're right. There's other words for fad too. Go ahead.
Well, even like you said with the technology, with computers and everything, in the ancient time, how they built the pyramid, that was like
That's my
a
point.
mathematical technology that we still can't conceive to understand.
Well, there's documentaries out in the market that the pyramids were a power station, like Con Edison got their power station. So it might have been a power station too. You know, dealing with the sun and energy, a storehouse of energy. And then they also transmitted power wirelessly too, through the top of the pyramid, which was gold. And I guess that was chipped away. And the Sphinx had a role too, the paws of the Sphinx. So it just wasn't, what do you call it, tombstone or artifacts and whatnot? That other family?
Yeah, it had more purpose.
Yeah, it had further utility in terms of the technology at that time.
Exactly.
So we also see now in the military, new is what? Tanks, submarines, AK-47s, high-powered weaponry, what else? Airplanes, right? Bombers, jet fighters,
Lethal weapons like gas,
right?
explosions.
Laser weapons, sound weapons that would just shatter your nerves. But back in the day, ancient times, what was some of the weaponry that was used?
Rocks,
Bow and arrow,
rocks, sticks,
the horse.
Yeah, the spear.
So what was considered a tank in the battlefield?
horse.
What animal?
Horse.
The tank.
Rhino.
Right?
Elephant.
Right? Elephant.
I was wondering there was something over here that went up. The elephant
Yeah.
was the tank, right? Ran down a whole division of infantry soldiers, right? Foot soldiers. And could probably withstand some bow and arrow, right? If the tip weren't poison, right? With some kind of curare poison. How about the Native American Indians? Was their way of living new to them? It was new to them, right? It was a matter of survival, right? And now we call this new. We call this technology new. Isn't that so? So it is ingenuity, right? Creative minds that have taken us to where we are now in the utilization of technology. Keyboards. First it was keyboards. First it were teletype machines with the IBM 360 machines.
Yeah, because there was never a key, it didn't start as a keyboard like this. The whole processor was the keyboard on the Mac computers.
It's about computation. So there was a British mathematician, Charles Babbage, who created the first mechanical driven calculator. It ran on gasoline and big time pulleys and gears.
Oh wow.
Charles Babbage is his name. Look him up, Charles Babbage. Like cabbage? Look it up, write it down. Charles Babbage, that's an assignment. Look up Charles Babbage, the differential engine. The first mechanical calculator. Charles Babbage. B-A-B-B-A-G-E. The differential engine, the first mechanical calculator. All right?
Right there.
Yeah, Charles Babbage. All right? So that's our moment of history in terms of how we got to where we are. And then what, back in the 50s and 60s, you had the Hollerith punch card readers, where you had a teletype machine, 80-column cards that punch holes into each of the columns,
Right.
number 0 to 9, A to Z, all right? So, on the top, they give you the instructions, input, X, Y, and then a set of cards that had the algorithm already written out. What are you going to do with that X and Y, all right? So in the back of those cards, when you get ready to feed it into the computer, which reads it, right? Then at the back is the data that it is supposed to compute. And then that data gets put back into the algorithm so you can have a solution. All right, it's just incredible how this thing has developed to where it is. So I went from punch card to now your punch card is your actual keyboard. And now you could write software and programs into what they call an interpreter, which could be basic language, computer programming language for beginners, the basic all-purpose symbolic interchange code language, basic, and then you have C++, you have Pascal. These are different types of programs that one can use to write applications. And now we use the word apps, right? Apps. Apps is programs, same thing as applications, yes.
What has you say,
Speak
like,
up.
as you said before, with the technology and everything, will it resource to, you know, collapse? Yeah. Just like the
That's a tough
ancient,
question.
just like the ancient empire of Egypt and everything, as great as they was, thousands of years, they had to come to an end. So it will come to an end.
But this technology, no.
It's your
Just like they said, when the new millennium came in, Y2K, the computers weren't gonna read the date or whatever.
Right.
Programmers are gonna come up with a program
That's right.
gonna allow, there's a contingency to
That's very
this,
good.
to this technology.
That's a very,
whatever the case may be.
that's a very good example, because I remember when that happened. Does anybody know how that might have happened in terms of trying to figure out when 2000 came in from 1999? What are you gonna do about the next 00? What do you do with your birthday? 01/01/99. January 1st, no, the first month, January, first date, and 99. Hold on a second. So they use a lot of 8-bit code. 8. 01 is 2. The other 01, the date is 2, takes up 2 spaces, and the other 01 takes up the year. So computers were limited back then in terms of the codes. The codes, right. So what happened was that when 2000 came in, they didn't know what to do with the 99.
Yeah.
Which 00 are you talking about? 1900? Or to the year 3000? You have to expand that. They were rushing to change that. Maybe that's the reason why they went from the basic MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System with 8-bit processors, then they upped it to 16-bit processors. Now everybody know what I'm talking about. They're the 32-bit processors.
Right.
So that means you can have a larger character set, more commands, the more bits you have. So you expand the character set, they call it. You got 64 code character set, 128. They're all multiples of 2 to the n power. So now Chinese got pictorial diagrams of their language, so you need even more. Animation needs even more. All right? Because it deals with pixels, picture elements.
Okay.
So, what's the converse of an unexamined life is not worth living? What's the converse of that, Ms. Colon?
What is that?
The converse, the opposite. An unexamined life is not worth living. So what's the converse of that?
An examined life is worth living.
Where's my case? Sit. All right. So you must remember this. You don't want to walk across the stage at Radio City, you forget it. And then the president asks, who says an unexamined life is not worth living? You better not say Plato. Campbell got it right. He said the honor of the class. That's all it takes is one. All right? Socrates said it. All right. So, what chapter did I say we're going to go to? So we've covered the quiz, right?
Yes.
You must read and read the chapters. It's imperative. Especially the one that we just finished doing, surveillance. What chapter was surveillance?
6.
There's so much in there, like, I mean, you can have conversations with people and they'll be wait, what are you, computer scientists? How do you know this? Yes, sir.
So the quiz will be chapter 1 and chapter 6.
Yes, sir. Yes, all right? I mean, this is just, I mean, who would have known that Hillary Clinton was responsible for, what is the ISP?
Internet service provider.
Give me a service provider. AOL?
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Netscape, they said that was the first one. It was another name, but
See that?
Netscape.
It's so incredible how this
Yeah, Netscape was first. I remember when that came out. We were dialing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
See how the phone? I'm always fascinated by the evolution of technology. I mean, what was back in the day was fast to them.
Well, like you said, like you were talking about earlier, you said, what makes new, what makes something else new.
Right.
But to me, this technology is new technology because I come from an era or a time when we didn't have computers. Well, yep, I'm not gonna say we didn't have computers, but we had like floppy
The speed of the
disks.
CPU doubles. The power of the central processor unit doubles every 18 months. No.
It's not a name?
Huh? No.
The government?
That's part of your quiz question.
Steve Jobs.
No. Steve Jobs
The government?
started yeah, hold on. Steve Jobs started Apple. With Wozniak, Steve Wozniak. They were both guitar players too. They were musicians. It was Moore's law.
Robert Morris,
No, not Morse. More. Look it up. Moore's law. MOORE''S. Moore's law. It's deep. He predicted it.
Speed of
The speed of the central
So
processor.
just imagine when the new generation comes about and they create something better than Apple.
It might be you. Who knows? It might be
I'm
you.
not technical savvy.
It might be you.
you said doubles,
Well, that's important.
you said doubles every 18 months?
Yeah, the power of the central processor.
And you said that was Steve Wozniak?
No. Moore. Try to get the first name for me. I think it's Charles Moore. It eludes me right now, but it's Moore. Moore's law. All right.
Who was Steve Wozniak?
Wozniak and
Apple?
that was and Steve Jobs. Yeah. They started Apple in their garage. Yeah, and they were guitar players. They're musicians. All right. So who says musicians don't use both sides of their hemisphere?
Integrated
Right?
circuit doubles approximately every 2 years.
He said, 18
Yeah.
months. 2 years is how many?
24 months.
Oh no! But the book says 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It said that the period is often quoted as 18 months because of Intel executive David House, who predicted that it would double 18 months.
There it is. What's his first name?
Gordon Moore.
Yeah, I forgot his first name. It's Gordon Moore. All right, so that's going to be one of your quiz questions, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to say Moore's law says that the power of the computer doubles every, we say 2 years.
Is it the power of the computer or the?
Thanks for that. Because the computer is made up of other elements, right?
Said the
The power of the central processor.
Central process.
Yeah,
Learning
CPU.
objectives. To learn about the history and development of various kinds of mobile media. To explore the spread and diffusion of mobile media across the world. To understand the implications of mobility and portability for socio-cultural and political life.
That's right.
To critically apprehend the significance of portability and the changes it has introduced in everyday life.
All right, so let's briefly take a look at what they mean by portability and mobility. What's portability? You off the top of your head, without looking at the Google in
You can
it.
move around.
Say it again?
You can move around.
All right. What's the other word? Portability and mobility.
Mobility.
Agility, being agile.
Mobile, you also can move. They're both.
So what's the converse of that? What's the converse of mobile, being mobile?
Stationary.
Mobile.
Stationary. No, not that. Yes, sorry. And basically, how about the telephone? Your telephone was at home, right?
Yeah. It was
You have to have a data jack.
It was
It was twisted copper wire, a data jack.
a wire.
It's a wire.
Wire.
You're limited.
A cord.
Limited.
Then they came out.
A cord.
Then they came out with the cordless.
Right? Oh. You know, that's perfect.
That was like the best thing since sliced bread when we were coming up.
He just nailed it.
You gotta stand in the kitchen to talk on the phone.
He just nailed it. No. That is so profound. Because now you're not tied with that twisted phone cable in your ears in the living room.
Or you have to stay in one place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you have a
You got
base.
a base, yeah.
A base. When you charge it up,
You can walk around
you
with
can
the
walk
battery.
around. That's the, that might have been experimentation. For real.
Yeah.
That might have been the first time. Before we went out into the world and externalized it. All right, yes,
Now,
ma'am.
now that you mentioned
Very
like
good.
the twisted cord is true when you were, like twisted up, so the cordless was so you wouldn't get twisted up. But it's funny because now with the phones, even though it's cordless, we're so twisted up in the phone.
My
Anyway.
God. Keep reading. Keep reading. This is interesting. Go ahead. And it's all part of new media and the evolution of the phone. Go ahead.
Introduction. When the originators of Star Trek introduced the communicator in the plots of the cult 1960s TV series, they had no idea of how popular their gadget would become some 40-odd years later. Figure 8.1 shows the communicator, while next to it is Martin Cooper, the inventor of the first mobile phone, holding an early model often referred to as the Brick.
What's his name?
Martin Cooper.
Continue.
Cooper developed a prototype and made the first call on a handheld mobile telephone in April 1973, but the invention did not take off commercially until the 1980s. Given its price, the mobile phone was reserved only for the rich and/or the busy businessmen, the yuppies of the 1980s.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a tongue twister? What happened?
No, I stopped because...
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Cooper
Curtis.
developed a prototype and made the first call on a handheld mobile telephone in April 1973, but the invention did not take off commercially until the 1980s.
19, no, that's
No,
too far back.
1973.
18 was the telegraph.
No, you went way far back.
I think I was a Howard back then. Go ahead.
Given its price, the mobile phone was reserved only for the rich and/or the busy businessmen, the yuppies of the 1980s.
There it is. Talking about style, right? Class, status. There it is, right? That's proof of your designer dialogue.
I'm just thinking about how, the mobile phones, like you said, the stationary phones in your house, the telephone companies still made money. Now, with these portable and mobile phones, they barely getting any business.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
It was a
they
lot cheaper
They
to
didn't even
have
see the technology that they were pushing themselves out of.
The phone bills were a lot cheaper too back in the day.
With the old existing phones and stuff, are we more capable of communicating better? Because with the old existing phone, the one phone in the kitchen, we got together to eat at the dining table.
That's right.
We got together to watch TV together.
That's right.
With all of the separation, my granddaughter live with me. She be in her room, I be in my room, and she's always totally doing something. We eat separately.
We
watch separate stuff. We like in no existence. We
Sure,
just
you're absolutely right.
We just inhabited together in the same apartment.
Well, if you're taking an interpersonal communication course, an introduction to communication, there are many aspects of communicating effectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the interpersonal, communicating with yourself, two people? What's the other one? Small group, 3 to 10? And public communication and mass communication, right? There's 5 aspects, and there's also nonverbal communication.
And that's what
you're supposed to listen twice as much as you speak in terms of communication theory, right? Listen, how many people are really listening? I might hear you. What's the difference between hearing and listening in communication? What is hearing? It's considered
receiving.
No, in communication theory, hearing is more like noise. I'm hearing sounds, but I'm not listening to you. Listening takes more effort. And in communication, that's what you learn in an intro communication course. That it takes a lot of energy to listen effectively to somebody else and hold your thought until they finish.
So
That's respect.
That's a gift and a skill.
It is, but you gotta cultivate the skill.
Back to
Yes.
the farm, right?
Oh yeah.
No, but
Wait a minute. Yeah.
No, he has he doesn't have a smartphone, but the thing is that when I look at my dad, I say he didn't grow up with phones, but he's smart. If you talk to
Yeah.
him, it's not, he's
There
not
it
like,
is.
oh, I don't know, he is wise.
That's wisdom.
My father's the
And-
same way.
That's wisdom. And he has stories to
When I
tell.
was a kid, you called on the phone, it was emergency, say what you had to say, hang up. That was it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Go with you. Go to
All right, continue. And speak out loud. Bring it to life.
The revolutionary idea behind the mobile phone is that it provides a means by which people can communicate with one another regardless of their geographical location.
Right.
They no longer need to be attached to certain fixed places in order to communicate. They can be in touch with others on a permanent basis regardless of where they find themselves. Perhaps because of this, the rates of diffusion of the mobile phone have been astonishing. But mobile phones are only part of the picture. Along with wireless internet and MP3 players, as well as pagers, mobile game consoles, digital cameras, and global positioning or satellite navigation systems, portable media players, and other mobile media, they represent a new and in some ways radical feature of the new media, portability. Perhaps for the first time in history, human beings are able to communicate with one another without the restrictions imposed by fixed devices. This portability further introduces an element of continuous availability as mobile media make us available across boundaries of space and time. As such, they are definitely part of an increasingly mobile network society. But what are the implications of the portability of the new media? What kinds of changes have mobile media introduced into the fabric of social and political life? What broader conclusions can we draw? This chapter will attempt to sketch some answers to these questions. Beginning with the spread and diffusion of the various kinds of portable new media, it will move on to discuss their political, economic, and socio-cultural implications.
Mobile media. While there is little doubt that the mobile media have introduced a new radical dynamic into our relationship with the media, we should not overlook the broader historical context into which they are located. This section will discuss the three dominant kinds of mobile media.
Okay.
The mobile telephone, MP3 players, and wireless internet.
All right.
It will discuss their history and development and then map their diffusion across the world. Much of the power of these mobile media depends on their diffusion.
Diffusion, what does diffusion mean? It's a chemistry word too.
To separate?
Diffuse,
Oh, to
spread out,
like this.
spread out, diffusion, spread out. Right? Go ahead, continue.
The more diffused they are, the more their usability increases. In this sense, they represent a clear instance of the network society at work. Different networks of users emerge. The uses and advantages of these mobile media increases. But such increases in the diffusion of mobile media must be understood within the context of aggressive marketing.
There it is.
Built-in
Obsolescence. That means going out of obsolescence, like wearing off. A fad. Remember you used the word fad earlier. Yeah, so something is a fad today and it just goes away later through overabuse. Obsolescence. That's a good word to know. Continue.
Obsolescence and media convergence.
Right.
This section will follow the development and diffusion of these media with a view to eventually identifying their political, economic,
Damn.
and sociocultural impact.
Why he's always using those four words? Political, economic, and social culture. Is this how human beings live and interact?
This is how we as society identify ourselves.
Yeah, politics.
Politics, how much money you got, and which group you belong to.
It's incredible. So I think polis comes from polis, police, politician. So it's a Greek word for the city-state. Polis, city-state. Right? So how do we govern ourselves? What makes one candidate better than the other one in a democracy where they can get your vote? Where one of them has never took a debating class. More or less a public speaking course.
They mentioned Star Trek at the beginning of the chapter.
Deep.
There was a website now,
Deep.
just a couple of months ago, that they invented the same badge,
Yes.
like the logo, and
Okay.
now you can just pin it on your shirt and actually just press it, and
That's
it
it.
will like sound like Star Trek, and you can say call this, just you touch it, and that's it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So they were looking at futuristic evolution of technology with Star Trek, right? The tricorder, the what do you call the teleporter room in the Starship Enterprise? When beaming up Scotty, Scotty was in control. He was an engineer.
That's the diffusion.
Yeah, no. So they dematerialize your body, run it through this glass encasing, get the coordinates to where they're going to beam you to, dematerialize your atoms, and you end up on the other side. I wonder if we're going to get there.
What used to break their connection?
That's a good question. That's a very good
They
question.
always used to be calling Captain Kirk.
That's a good question.
Come in, Captain Kirk.
That's a good question. It could be electromagnetic interference.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's
a,
stuck
yeah.
right there.
But I think that's where they want to move to, you know, especially colonizing Mars and other planets.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, that Mars doesn't have any Wi-Fi up there.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's
So it costs you how much? $12,000 to go to Mars. Continue reading, please. $12,000. You want a ticket to Mars? $12,000?
No, because they probably take you to Arizona somewhere.
That's what grandma was
You're in
saying.
Mars.
That's what my grandma was saying about the
Mobile phone. While for many, the roots of the mobile phone may be traced to popular science fiction of the 1960s, the history of the mobile communicator is a longer one. In fact, we may trace the ancestry of the mobile phone back to
Marconi.
Marconi.
Anybody heard of Marconi?
Yeah.
Giuliano got Marconi, 1904. He invented the radio. All right? The first radio, an Italian inventor. It ran on tools. And tools will replace transistors, miniaturized tools. And that was invented in 1947 by William Shockley at MIT. It was considered a racist, but how true is that? So you went from vacuum tube, television, radio, to transistors that perform the same function.
Don't forget the toaster.
So the radio was through tubes too?
Had to be.
Well,
Yeah.
sound tubes.
Yeah, sound tools.
Because
Correct.
TV came out with the picture tubes.
Yeah,
Then the color tubes.
big time. Yeah, big time. Right.
Yeah.
But it's certain. There's something still to black and white.
That's
Some people still like
That's-
black and white.
Oh, some people feel like black and white?
Yeah. Yeah, black and white is, yeah, it has its purpose.
the toaster. What is the invention until now is still basically the same. There's no really
I know.
invention. Even with the microwave, that
I know.
has nothing to do with the toaster.
Because you got the coil in there now with the microwave.
The toaster still has
That
that.
only-
I know,
Yeah.
because of the coils that heat up. Ain't
Yeah.
that something?
The only-
Continue. Speak up.
Marconi
Or
is
read
the
up, read up.
invention of the radio in 1894.
That makes sense, right? Read up. Go ahead.
The mobile may be thought of as a combination of the radio with the telephone. Mobile radio,
What that might mean?
the mobile,
Yeah.
may be thought of as a combination of the radio with the telephone.
Oh, gosh. When did that happen?
Mobile
Okay.
radios could send and receive signals and were used experimentally in the U.S. police force
Okay.
as early as the 1920s.
You got that? 1920s, mobile phones. Car 54,
Oh, yeah.
you know? Over and out. They had to develop their own, what is it? Communication language? To communicate over
Lingo.
CB radio, lingo. Continue.
These two-way radios were seen as only useful for the emergency services, and there were no plans to exploit the technology commercially. According to Lacohe, Wakeford and Pearson, commercial use of the mobile telephone began in 1947 in the USA.
That's when the transistor got invented. Did I just hit that year off? William Shockley, 1947, MIT. He replaced the vacuum tube with the transistor. A little device that looks like it's like this. It got 3 electrons coming out of it. Transistor, real small.
He was a black guy, right? What's the guy they said was a black guy that
Latimer, Latimer, Louis Latimer.
admitted the mobile phone. Something he did something.
Yeah, we can look into that later. He's mentioning it right here, 1947. Read that passage again and continue. Go
According
ahead.
to Lacohe, Wakeford and Pearson, commercial use of mobile telephones began in 1947 in the USA. When AT&T offered a radio telephone service between New York and Boston. In 1956, in Sweden, Telesonera and Ericsson created the first fully automatic mobile phone system,
1956.
allowing calls to be made and received in a car,
You see that? In the car. There you go. Go ahead.
while using the public network telephone system. These phones were operating through the car's battery
Okay.
and were weighing no less than 40 kilos.
Go ahead.
The invention and spread of the transistor allowed for the development of lighter phones, but they were still too big to carry around. From then onwards, the developments are typically discussed in terms of the different generations of mobile phones, 1G, 2G, and 3G.
Okay, so if I gave you a quiz after this quiz, and I say, what does 2G mean? What
Second
is the G
generation.
mean?
Generation.
Second generation, right? What is LTE?
Long-term evolution.
These acronyms have meaning. Go ahead.
1G.
And usually engineers come up with these names and technicians. Go ahead.
1G is the first generation of mobile phones,
That's where you got the answer from. Go ahead.
which used analog technology. It was based on the creation of a cellular network that included a series of base stations.
Base stations. Remember the base station with the cordless? There it is, at a higher, bigger level. Go ahead, macro level. Go ahead.
Which in turn provide radio coverage over large geographical areas.
Right.
This is essentially what allows mobile phones to operate. In 1977, AT&T received a license from the Federal Communications Committee to start building a cellular network in the USA.
That is historical. Could you repeat what happened in 1977 again? for the class?
AT&T received a license from the Federal Communications Committee to start building a cellular network in the
Then
USA.
stop.
I think they pulling out the phones, right? They pulling out the public phones.
They
that
are.
used to be on the street.
And they got the free ones. You see the Wi-Fi calling stations? I seen them.
That's what, isn't that for 911?
No, you can make
Oh,
a
you
phone
can
call.
charge your phone, you can watch
charge your
videos
phone.
and everything.
Oh, that's why they said they was gonna pull it out. I seen on Channel 5, they said it was gonna pull it out because people was, taking up the time just there, going on to the internet and stuff. Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the reading. All right, continue. I know.
And by 1981, Sweden already counted 20,000 mobile phone users. Spain,
Wait a
Austria,
minute. What year was that?
1981.
Sweden already? Oh, wow. Look at that. Far more than here, right? It's Sweden.
They have the money.
I know they got all that undercover money there.
Amid much hype regarding their potential, governments in Europe auctioned off licenses and generated vast amounts of money. For instance, in the UK, the license auction generated 22.5 billion, and in Germany, 30 billion, which led telecoms companies to incur massive debts and eventually crashing, leaving thousands of people unemployed. Licensee telecom companies were responsible for providing the infrastructure relying on the optical fibers to ensure for more efficient and quicker data transfer.
Yeah, that's when this change came about with the, what do you call it? What do you say? Optical cables? Optics? Now the information is not moving through copper wire, twisted wire. It's moving through laser glass. All right? So what was that word again? Optical, what is it? Glass?
Fiber optic.
Fiber optics. Yeah, fiber optics is glass.
Yeah.
So glass doesn't offer that much resistance to the flow of electricity or some kind of signal, right? And it can move faster. Boom. You know, there's no impedance, as they call it in electrical engineering, all right? Because there's always a resistance when you use a metal to keep current flow. And with glass,
Friction, right?
huh?
Because of friction, right?
Friction. You could say friction, but it's really impedance and resistance. So when you have laser in our glass and the signal's moving through it, clear path, no resistance. So a lot of this fast tech stuff right now in terms of the transmission of information is because of fiber optic laser technology. So this is where we are right now. All right? Continue.
3G phones